Welcome to Manawaker Studios Flash Fiction Podcast. I'm CB Drogi. This week, Doomsday on Demand by Andrew Johnston. It was the lone memorable moment in an otherwise drab day at Authoress International. The young woman didn't set off sirens when she stepped into the lobby, but she certainly stood out from the usual crowd. The pallid complexion and inky clothes gave her the look of a lost refugee from some dismal club, but she moved with far more purpose than the junkie brats Thomas had seen staggering around the streets in the torturous morning light. Thomas rose as the young woman approached his station. "Are you lost, miss?" "Not at all." The woman rapped arrhythmically on the security desk. "I'm here to speak with Ms." She slid a card out of an invisible pocket. "Granger and the board of directors." You have an appointment?" "Not as such, but they'll want to speak with me." "I'm sorry, Miss..."
"Freya."
"Ms. Freya, this is a secure building, and we're very busy."
"Looks a little quiet to me. Thomas, is it?"
Freya scanned the sparsely populated lobby.
"Thomas, I'm sure that this is not a terribly stimulating job, so perhaps you'll indulge me for just a minute before you escort me out,
By all rights, Thomas should have seen the girl out and not thought twice. But she had a point. It was a boring day, and he appreciated the conversation, no matter how strange. "Fine, I guess I have a minute. After that, you have to go."
"I have a little wager."
Freya rested a crisp $20 bill on the desk.
"You see that mountain behind me?"
The mountains that overshadowed Authoress were plainly visible through the main doors of the building, and one peak in particular stood out. I see it, yeah?"
$20 says I can snap my fingers and make that mountain vanish into its own footprint."
Thomas pushed the bill back to Freya. "I wouldn't take that bet."
"You think I'm crazy, right?"
You walk into an office building, claim you can make a mountain disappear, I think you're crazy. You put money on it, I think you're running a scam."
"Then you think that maybe I can actually do it?"
"I think you must be very tricky." Thomas stared at the mountain as though it might actually sail off into space at any moment. "Who are you, anyway?"
"I'm something of a salesperson."
Freya produced a business card from thin air, jet black with silver markings.
"Perhaps you can pass this along."
It was the nicest card Thomas had ever seen. A box of these must cost as much as my entertainment center, he thought. But the truly striking part was the inscription on the card's face. Apocalypse Limited. Grand Revelations, Cosmic Paradigm Shifts, Civilizational Disruptions, a Specialty. "That's cute," said Thomas. "So, y'all here to end the world?"
"It's not that simple," said Freya, a subtle smile crossing her lips. "Your culture interprets an apocalypse as the end of days. Certainly it can be. But what it is in any event is a revelatory moment, a flash of knowledge, a tearing away of old lies. It can be good or bad or anywhere in between, but it's always transformative, destructive if we're being honest."
"And you, create these flashes of knowledge?"
"In a manner of speaking, we're facilitators, Thomas. We connect parties in need with parties who can fill that need, and we feel that your civilization has reached a point where it can make use of our services. So a number of agents like myself have been dispatched to communicate with various and sundry governments, religious bodies, research groups, and a very select group of private companies."
Freya leaned in close.
"This is a real and very rare opportunity for a visionary board. I'd suggest you pass that along."
Thomas stepped out from behind his desk and rested a hand on Freya's shoulder. "This has been interesting, but I think it's time to go."
"I understand. There's no need to wrap this up today. Time is an element, but it's not immediately pressing."
Freya nodded to the card.
"Just as long as the message gets through."
Thomas escorted Freya through the main doors, pausing briefly to admire the scenery. It's a shame
A shame?
that I didn't get a chance to see your trick. The mountain peak is still...
Thomas raised a hand to his chin.
Wait, weren't there 2 mountains over there?
Were there? Freya chuckled. I hadn't noticed.
This has been Doomsday on Demand, written by Andrew Johnston. Flash Fiction Podcast is supported by Manawaker Studios patrons on Patreon, the voluntary pay-what-you-want subscription service. Patrons get perks like access to patron-only stories and behind-the-scenes info. Higher tiers grant a subscription to Manawaker Books, or even an honorary title within the studio. You can become a patron for only $1 a month, and every patron is greatly appreciated. For more information, visit patreon.com/Manawaker. For more information about Manawaker Studios' other projects, including books and games, visit manawaker.com, which is also where you should go to learn more about the authors featured on this podcast, or to get details about submitting a story. The Flash Fiction Podcast theme song is by Kevin MacLeod. Manawaker Studios' director of DICE is Ben Baston. I'm CB Droege. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at CBDROEGE. Thanks for listening.